Welcome in to another episode of the Monday Trifecta. We're getting to the good point. Summer's wrapping up.
Yep. Welcome back, by the way.
Thanks. I'm back.
I was out here by myself last week. You're back. How was your time in Gilroy?
It was good. It's much needed. I'm fully recovered and
ready for football season.
Yes, and I'll be back in Gilroy in 3 weeks.
Can you also explain the shirt that you're wearing before
it's a big old troll job on your Vegas Golden Knights. I'm a Sharks fan, if no one knew. So this was the point at which Game 7, the Kings were up 3-0. 5-minute major on Joe Pavelski. Questionable call. And it ended like this. Bam, 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 bam. All right. Okay, now that
we got that big flex out of the way. Welcome back to the Monday Trifecta podcast. Good to have you back.
What's your shirt say?
Oh, this is just Team Miller. You know, hashtag Team Miller.
Vacation?
Family. And like, if you don't know, I have like a bunch of kids in my family, so my parents refer to us by our numbers. And I'm the oldest, so I'm repping the number 1 on my back. So
okay, I like it.
It's kind of how my parents keep like tabs on us when we're on summer vacation. You know,
hey, 1 over
Disney.
here.
1, where's 3?
Okay.
Roll call.
I like it. All right, let's talk some local sports here. Dust Devils. We're going to go Dust Devils. We're going to check in with a local pro who is doing big things in the minors. He's going to call in here in about 10 minutes. Sweets. We got a lot on deck. We'll start with the Dust Devils. Pretty good week this week. Went 5-2. 5-3 if you include Sunday, which was yesterday. So let's include it. 5-3. They got a good sweep up in Salem. Everett. They ran into that guy named, what's his name?
King Felix.
Oh, yeah. He has a Cy Young award.
I feel like any athlete whose nickname it's like King something, King James, King Felix, he's pretty good at whatever sport he plays.
Yeah, so they ran into Felix, and he struck out 8 in 4 innings, and that's kind of what to expect. The guy's got Cy Young on him.
Yeah.
Well, and you talked to him.
Yeah,
what did they say about going into it?
Well, like going into that game, they had, like you said, they had swept Kaiser at home, and they were super excited. The best part was when I went to practice the next day, Logan Driscoll didn't know.
Right.
And so, like, I was talking to him before and just, like, seeing, like, how he was doing all that. And then I was like, oh, like, have you heard that King Felix is going to pitch tomorrow? And he's like, who?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, Felix Hernandez is pitching tomorrow for the Aqua Sox because he's on the recovery thing or whatever. And he was just like, it took him a while to like get into like, I'm gonna be a pro and answer this the right way, because he just was super in like fanboy such, which is like very understandable. You're like very young and you don't expect guys to come down and play at that level, but you know, they were super excited. You know, the series against Salem, I think they did a really good job on the offensive side of the baseball and also on the defensive end, and that's something that Coach McCoy talked to me about early in the week, and that he was concerned about the consistency of their base hitting, and not only base hitting, but getting those guys home. And so they did a really good job at that in Kaiser, and Coach McCoy said they play better at home.
Yeah, they do.
I don't know what it is about athletes and playing better at home, but they do play a lot better at home. Everett was a little bit of a rough series, and then Hillsborough, they split the series.
So far.
Tonight's
they did have a couple shutouts. Good pitching performances by Ignacio.
Yep.
And then also Twaits had a good pitching performance too over the weekend. So those are their first 2 shutouts this year, I do believe. So they've got, like you said, they've got things working here and there, and now it's just trying to get a long stretch. But I mean, overall, this week's a good week. If you're 5-3, and then you have a chance to kind of take the second series in Hillsborough and come home and feel good heading into Tuesday, where they're back at home for another 7-game homestand. Matt Acosta hit his first professional home run.
And he's been great this whole entire season. Like, the fact that he just hit his first home run is very shocking to me, because he's been great the whole entire year. I would have thought that he had a couple under his belt at this point.
Well, he had that triple against a couple weeks ago where it was off the wall in the first inning. I forget who they played.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. Literally, as soon as the crack of the bat, I thought it was gone. But like you said, the wind at Giza, it doesn't allow a lot of home runs to happen. Also, talked to the team, and it was confirmed that Carlos Luis did break his arm. He got surgery, so surgery was successful, and he is currently rehabbing. They don't anticipate having him for the rest of the season.
I wouldn't imagine. There's only like a month left.
Yeah, and I talked to Coach McCoy, and I talked to a lot of the players. It seemed like it was a freak accident. Like, he was at first, and there was an errant throw, and he went out to try to grab the ball, and the runner just ran into his arm, and it was like an ugly break.
And we've seen that before just in majors and stuff, where a guy reaches for the ball, and the runner's coming through, and it just kind of clips him. That's basically what happened, right?
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean,
that's a hard blow, but also they're pretty loaded at first base, which is what Carlos Luis was playing. He was kind of a utility player. He was like all over the place this season. But Nick Gatewood has been another player that's been super good for the Dust Devils. He's stepped into that spot, and he's been doing pretty well for the Dust Devils. So they have a multiple litany of guys who can come in and fill the role. So while Carlos Luis, that's a huge blow to the team, they do have guys who are coming in and playing well.
And I'm looking because I wasn't smart enough to look at who they have coming in here this week. But they'll take on Vancouver for 3, and then they'll take on the Boise Hawks for 4. And I looked at just the promotion, ladies' night at the ballpark later this week.
I think I'm off that day.
Yeah, probably.
So
you're rehabbing, so we'll get to those in a
we'll
second.
Get to that in a little while. And also Viniero's night is this week.
22nd,
The
Thursday.
Dust Devils are 2-0 when they are the Vinieros Detroit City.
Yes,
so
and we will go out there and probably talk to them a little bit more tomorrow when they get into town. I imagine, like they usually do after a long road trip, it's kind of the day back is kind of a shorter day. They get to the ballpark a little bit later, so we'll see how all that goes. Oh, we got 5 more minutes until Mason Martin, spoiler, is going to call in, and we're going to join us. So why don't we'll talk. Let's go Sweets.
Go Sweets.
Sweets for a few minutes here. Your first summer of covering Walla Walla. Good luck, Charm. Obviously, they're going to playoffs.
Yeah, This was honestly probably one of the best teams that I've covered, and I'm very young in my career, and so I haven't had a lot of teams that I've covered, but this is probably one of the most fun teams, organization, environment, fans that I've experienced. Kind of crazy playoff series against Corvallis.
Yeah.
They are down, 6-3?
4-3.
4-3.
4-3 in game 2.
And Pat Caulfield ties it up in the ninth inning,
4-4.
and then Justin Foles, he wore number 24. You know who else wore number 24 and was clutch in the
I don't know.
in the final couple of seconds?
Number 8?
Yeah, he was pretty good too. But Justin Foles hits a grand slam in the ninth inning. Unfortunately, they went
Were you
down in
talking
game
about
3.
Mamba, right?
Yeah, I was talking about
Okay, good.
Kobe
I was
Bryant.
going with 8. I always think Kobe's 8 for me.
Yeah, that's another discussion for another day. But the fact that he has 8 and 24 retired, super cool. But to get back on topic, Sweets are awesome. I think my favorite moment from this year was probably the 8th game of the season. They were 7-0 at the time.
It's going way back.
They won that 8th game and went 8-0. And like the environment at historic Borleski Stadium was amazing. The fans were super excited. The players were great. And for me, first season, it was an awesome experience. You also had a very unique experience going way back to the beginning of the season.
Yeah, going way back. I got to suit up. That was really cool. That was maybe one of the most fun experiences I've had out here. So maybe that kicked off a really good vibes for the whole year. Maybe we'll have to do that every year so that they go to the playoffs. But speaking of that, like I wasn't here. I was still in Gilroy for the playoff game. You were out there. What was Borleski like that night?
It was rocking. And historic Borleski, the crowd had been amazing this whole entire season. But there's something about the playoffs, fans, team, organization, everybody just comes with their A game, and the team came with their A game. I'll never forget, it was in the second inning, and the ump blew a call. Like, it was bad.
Homer. Just kidding, I wasn't there. I have no idea what happened.
And the place went wild. Like, they were booing, they were chanting at the ref, like the ump the whole entire night. And they didn't really do that this whole entire season. It's been more like positive energy, like just cheering on the boys. But the fact that they were going after the ump really like set the tone that they were there. Historic Borleski was rocking. It was amazing. But also another former local kid balled out, that being Jake Harvey. He hit a huge home run to extend the lead to 6-1 for Corvallis, which
pretty much iced it.
Yeah, pretty much iced the game. As soon as he hit it out of the park, like I was already like, I got to leave here in a couple minutes. But as soon as he hit that home run, I packed stuff up and head home. But
we're in a weird spot. You obviously want to see, being a local, we want to see those Sweets go as far as we can. But we also love seeing guys making good who were local products. So Jake Harvey, one of those guys, and he had a good series too. I think he had a hit in every single game he's coming on, and it's fun to watch Jake. It always has been. He's one of the most complete baseball players I've seen. There's people in this area, and this area breeds baseball players. They say he's best pure baseball player they've ever seen, and that's saying something because on his team was Mason Martin, who is just a power hitter, who is just raking now in the minors, lead all of minors with 119 RBIs at this point, as at the time we're taping. So on that team, and they went to the state final. They were in the state final.
And the fact that they didn't
win
that's just
they ran into another guy who was also a pitching prospect, and they came on late in that game. They started off a little slow. They came on late, but yeah, they had Jake Harvey, they had Mason Martin, they had other guys, Lane Haley behind the plate. He was clutch too. So they had a lot of guys on that team, and those two guys, I have a feeling Jake might get some love here. He's only going to be a sophomore, so
And he plays at Oregon State, and
Power.
if anything comes out of Oregon State is amazing baseball players. I mean, they had the #1 overall pick this summer, signed with the Baltimore Orioles, so they got a lot of great players, and I feel like they developed their players extremely well.
There's a good chance that we could see 2 pros from that team at some point. I think Jake, if he continues to progress, it'll go that way. But to wrap up the suites and everything else, because hopefully Mason's calling in here soon, but shout out to the 3 local kids, Nick Irwin,
Brady
Carson
Heerai.
Green, Brady Heerai, on their fantastic summers. All of them had very good summers. So put a cap on that. We still have a little bit of baseball left, and we are going to be joined now by Mason Martin. Mason, what's this year been like for you right now so far?
Well, it's been great. I just came into this year with all the learning experiences that I had from my last season, and I was ready to go from day 1 of spring training. But it's been great. I've just been working as hard as I can and just trying to take it day by day, moment by moment. And that's been a big thing for me, is just going pitch by pitch, because the season can get real long. And so I've just been telling myself to stay pitch by pitch. And, it's worked out for me pretty well this season.
Last week, I was on Twitter. There's a couple articles that came out. You're at 32 home runs, 119 RBIs. That leads the minor leagues, all of the minor leagues, actually all of baseball too, if you looked at it in the wider scope. Are you at all surprised by what's happening for you?
No, I set a lot of goals at the start of this year, and and I set them really high, and I've reached a lot of my goals at this point in the season, but I think, I wouldn't say I'm super surprised, because I expected it of myself, and I set the bar really high for myself. So, surprised, no, but thankful, yes.
Mason, I'm interested in hearing. Not a lot of kids have the opportunity now to go straight from high school and go into play with a professional organization. What has been the biggest adjustment that you have seen and had to make from high school baseball to playing in a professional organization?
Well, obviously the speed's going to be a lot faster, and I remember when I got drafted, my first few weeks that I was playing games, I don't even think I had a hit for like a few weeks, or maybe like a jam shot single or something like that. And I was like, I don't know if I made the right decision. Once I adjusted to the speed of the game, then it started to get a little bit easier for me, and I could slow it down a little bit. But I'd say the biggest adjustment is, now it's, I don't like to call it a job, but I guess that's what it is. That's how I make a living, and that's how all the guys you're going against make a living. So it's not that guys are just competing in the arena. It's guys are competing to put food on their table too, and so guys are going to show up every day and they're going to compete as hard as they can, and they take it a lot more serious. And it's you just always have to find a way to have an edge. And I think that's one thing I've done a good job of this year, and knowing that the pitcher's on the mound, he's trying to get you out, and he doesn't care how you feel about it.
You burst on a scene during rookie ball. Have a great year, MVP. Last year, admittedly, you've told me over this offseason, wasn't the year that you wanted. Refocus nutritionally, diet-wise, working out-wise. How have you been seeing kind of that transformation pay off now?
Yeah, that's been probably the most important part of all this year, and the biggest key for me. And I got to give a ton of the credit to my dad, because he's the one that's taught me everything I know.
Shout out to Chad right there.
Nutrition and the lifting and stuff like that, and the training. So he gets a lot of the credit, but we just sat down in the last off season, and I told him what I wanted to get out of the off season, and he told me what he wanted to see out of me in the off season, and it was kind of a collaborative effort, and we just hit the gym as hard as we could, and I came into spring training in easily the best shape I've ever been in, and I'm excited now that we're kind of getting toward the end of the season of what I can build off of.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm interested to see like how I can take the off season to another level now and see what else I can add in to make me a better player.
When we talked right before you left, you said this is going to be the most baseball you've ever played in 1 year. So how is your body holding up right now?
You know, it's actually been doing a great job, and you know, I was really expecting to hit a wall, you know, right around the start of this month or the middle of last month. I was expecting to hit a wall. Because I think last season I played 103 games, 104 games, and now I think I've played close to 120, maybe a little more. So I was expecting once I got around kind of the 104 mark, I'd get tired, but my body's been holding up good. And like I said, you know, before you started recording, I'm going to go get a massage today, and I've been doing that. Been doing a lot of stretching, and of course, staying hydrated in Florida. That's the most important part in Florida.
That's the good life right there. Getting a massage. That's how you want to spend your off day.
Yeah. Especially on the off days, you just want to relax. You've been playing in the heat every day for who knows how long, and so you just want to just stay inside and just relax for a day. But
I hear you.
My body's been doing good, and you know, hopefully it holds up for me for the rest of the season.
I hear you like warm weather though. Whenever I see your dad out at games or something, he always like Mason's going to start heating up when the temperature heats up. Is that true?
I think that's just, you know, I don't know. I mean, I like the warm weather, but it's a different kind of hot here in Florida, man. It's just, it's the humidity and the heat, and we're right next to the ocean.
No more dry heat for you down in Florida. It's straight humidity. It feels like a swamp.
Yeah, I try to tell a lot of guys that are from, you know, around Florida or Georgia, or guys that I play with from around this area. I'm like, yeah, up in Washington, we don't even have anything close to this. I mean, it'll get 100 degrees, but, you know, the humidity is like almost nothing, and they just can't even fathom it.
Mason, I'm interested because you said earlier, like, changing your mindset and seeing this as really a job. It doesn't feel like a job because you're playing the sport that you love, but also this is how you're providing, you know, food on your table. I'm interested, how do you motivate yourself every single day to go put in extra time? Because it's not like in high school where 7 o'clock in the morning you got to go to school, you have homework, you have a whole bunch of other things you have to focus on. Now you're a pro and your job is to put everything that you have into the game.
You know, for me, I mean, ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to be a Major League Baseball player, and now, you know, not only do I want to be a Major League Baseball player, but I want to be a great one. And, you know, that's always been a motivator for me, and that's always driven me. But also, you know, I want to be a role model for my little brother and my little sister, and, you know, I want to make my family proud. And sometimes it's not always easy to, you know, show up to the park every day, but when I kind of think back and think about why I play it, it kind of helps get me on track. And I think I've done a good job of just remembering why I play this year. And I think that's, you know, led to a lot of success.
Speaking of making your family proud, your dad was down there for his birthday, correct?
Yeah.
And you hit a bomb.
Yeah.
So what was that like? Just knowing that you know, obviously your parents don't get down there very often. I know they try and get down there once a year, but what was it like for you to? I know you're not even thinking about it in the middle of the at bat, but kind of that moment and kind of being there with your dad there and, on his birthday. What was that like for you?
Yeah, I always love when my family comes and visits, and we always have a lot of fun and stuff like that. But it's always so stressful because you want to play so good, and you know you want to go out there and go get 4 hits every game for them because they made the trip all the way across the country. But yeah, I was really happy I could hit a home run for my dad on his birthday, and I kind of thought about it like earlier in the day. I was like, man, wouldn't it be cool to hit a home run? But I'm the type of guy that I can't try to swing for him too hard or else I won't hit him. I just got to let it happen. And luckily, you know, I got a good pitch to hit and I hit it out of the ballpark. And he was loving it. He was, you know, yelling and clapping and stuff. And my mom was going crazy. So it was a really cool experience that I got to share with him. I got the ball for him and stuff like that. It was cool.
Nice.
Mason, you've talked a lot about your family and, being a local kid here, we're always so happy when we see guys like you come from this area and then go out and have success in the sport that you guys love. Can you talk to us a little bit about the influence that your mom, your dad, your siblings, and this community here in the Tri-Cities had on you?
Yeah, that's another reason why I play is, to put on for the Tri-Cities. And, I think no matter how far I take my career in baseball, I think I'm always going to come back to the Tri-Cities in the off seasons and in the winters and stuff, and retire there one day. And I feel old thinking about retirement, but
yeah, you're a little young.
A little young.
But no, I've just met so many great people from the Tri-Cities. So many loved ones that I have, and of course a lot of friends and stuff. And I think that's one of the things that shaped me into the person I am today, is just that town. And like I said, I'm always going to come back. I'm always going to come visit.
I want to talk about the trend in baseball where, and you're kind of part of this, is where if you're a power hitter and you can run produce, the strikeouts aren't as frowned upon as it may be looked at in the past. How do you balance that, though, when you're up there?
Yeah, for me, strikeouts are never a good thing, and I've always, tried to do as a good of a job as I can by keeping the strikeouts down.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, I am a guy when there's runners on base, when I get up to the plate and it's still a close game, I feel like I have a chance to impact the game with one swing, and that's my number one strength, and that's how I help the team win, is I can impact the game with one swing. And I know that in the back of my mind, but at the same time, I try not to get too big in my approach, and I don't try to win the game every time I get up to the plate. And I think, as I've kind of moved up the ranks a little bit, now in high A, pitchers are a little more aware of what the guy at the plate wants to do, and they're aware that the guy at the plate knows what they're trying to do. So, so for me, like, if a guy knows I'm a run-producing guy, they're not going to try to let me impact the game with one swing. Mm-hmm. So they're going to try to find different ways to get me out and stuff like that. And so it gets harder. The approach has to get a little more refined as you go up, and I think I've done a pretty good job of that. But I've always been a guy that wants to keep the strikeouts down, but knows, if I can keep them at a manageable level, then I should be all right.
First All-Star game as a pro, you've done all those area code teams and stuff like that. Got your first in-season promotion, 32 home runs, like we've already gone through your stats, but how have you kind of managed kind of going from a prospect that's relatively unknown to kind of a guy that's got a little bit more spotlight on him?
I love it, and I'm really thankful, and I'm really blessed, with the talent and ability to come out here and play the game that I love on a professional level. And I don't want to focus too much on the prospect rankings or these rankings or that rank, whatever it is. But it is nice to know that people are taking notice, because as a guy that was a 17th round pick out of high school, it's not like my name was known across the world like some of these first rounders, first overall picks and stuff like that. So it is nice to know that people do appreciate the season and what I've done so far, and that's a really good thing to see. So,
all right, Mason. Well, I appreciate you joining us on your off day. Have fun with your massage and rehab, and keep hitting the ball.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
All right, you just heard from Mason. Your first time talking to him.
Yeah,
what's your reaction?
I never talked to the kid, but I can tell in that short conversation that, one, he is a product of this great area.
Yep.
And probably before that is that his parents did a great job with him.
Yeah.
So shout out to Mr. and Mrs. Martin. Your son is not only a great athlete, he's a great kid. there's so many good sound bites in there.
Yeah.
There's so many good things that he said. The one thing that really stuck out to me that he said was that he's a product of this area. He loves this area, and that he wants to retire here.
Yeah,
that's not something
about
that you hear from like. I'm sure he's 18, 19, 20-year-old kid. You don't hear that from kids that like
20, just
if
turned
you
20.
were like to ask me that like 5 years ago, like if I wanted to retire in my hometown, I'd be like, no, I want to get as far away from my hometown as possible. But he talked about, really being shaped by this area, having his parents be a huge motivating factor. And then also he talked about how this is a job and he's looking at it as a job and he wants to be a good role model for his younger siblings. Like to have that mentality and to have that character at such a young age, I mean, I was blown away by the interview. Again, I have never met him. You were lucky enough to cover him while he was here at Southridge. Truly great kid, and you can see that he is a real product of his parents and this area. Yeah,
and he's bounced back very nicely. Last year was not a good year for him. He admitted that, and that's why he refocused, and all that hard work where he got down to, I think he got under single digits body fat and stuff like that, really getting in shape, and now it's all paying off. So it's really cool. We did ask him about Jake Harvey, so check out our Twitter page. I'll have that up where he just talks about his former teammate and how cool that was. And, man, that Southridge team.
I still can't believe that they didn't win states because those two, I mean, I've only seen Jake play once, and I see highlights of Mason all the time on Twitter. And every single time I watch him, I'm just like, holy
How cool was the baseball, hitting a home run and on his dad's birthday?
I saw something like that on Twitter the other day. It was like the exact same thing. Like the kid was making his pro debut, and his dad was there, and like they were interviewing him while he was at bat, and he hit a home run. Like the emotions were crazy. You saw that, right?
I did. Yeah.
So the fact that he was able to hit a home run with his dad there—that's super awesome. I think you reposted something where
you'll probably see the video that we're gonna use because
we're covering it with this video right now.
Yeah, right there, right there.
But yeah, that's just super awesome to not only have your parents be able to come see you play, and then to have it be your father's birthday and to hit a home run and then be able to go find that ball because as soon as he hit it, I was like, he's not finding that ball. That thing was gone.
It was deep.
Yeah, it's super awesome.
All right, quickly, we're not really going to talk about it, but training camp opens in 2 days for high school football. Yep. Next week, we'll start having some really in-depth podcasts here. But this week, we're going to Tri-Cities Prep, Liberty Christian, Columbia Burbank. We're going to Royal. We're going to Connell. We're going to Prosser. We're getting things going. So be on the lookout for camp previews. But before we go, I don't know if you know, but we got rehab over here. So I wanted to find out, and I thought it'd be fun to wrap up our podcast today, your best/worst.
Can I explain to people what happened first? I had back surgery, and so I'm on the road to recovery before football season. That's why we're talking about
this. He had a herniated disc. They had to take it out. Just kidding. That's not what happened.
No.
But so your best/worst, either sports injury or sports story game related to an injury, like the flu game, Michael Jordan's flu game. You ever have a flu game?
Never had a flu game. I did play with a flu, but it was not good. Did not play well. I think the coolest story was my junior year. We were 9-0. I played basketball, so we were 9-0. We were having a great year. We had one of our best teams. And never forget it, we were on the road against Wooten, and in the fourth quarter, I drove to the basket and got undercut, and because I was a stupid kid and didn't know how to fall, I fell with my arms towards the floor and broke my wrist. But in the middle of the game...
Shooting hand wrist?
Shooting hand.
Oh, dear.
And so, but in the middle of the game, the adrenaline's pumping, I was a young kid, whatever, kept playing. We ended up winning that game in overtime. And the next day, I went to school, but I was like, dang, my wrist really hurts. I also wanted to get out of a math test.
Nice.
And so I went to the nurse, and the nurse was like, yeah, you need to go to the doctor. So I went to the doctor same day, and there was a small fracture in a bone that was connected to, another bone that, if that bone broke, it was super complicated, but he put a cast in it. And the next game was against Gaithersburg High School, which wasn't a great high school, but they had this guy, he was a 6'6" point guard. And he was he played again, he was on my rival AAU team, so we would always talk smack to each other, and I was really, really looking forward to it, but they wouldn't let me play because I was in.
Because you had a cast on.
Had a cast on. And we lost. So at that point, we were 9-0. I was devastated because we were 9-0, wanted to go undefeated. We lost at home, and that Gaithersburg High School wasn't that good. They were 5-5 at the time. They weren't that good. So we got upset at home because I was in a stupid cast. 2 days went by. I was losing my mind. I'd cut it off because dumb young kid. Like, don't do that.
Seems not smart.
Cut it off, taped it up, played in the next game. We won. Then we went on to win like 10 games in a row. Went to the playoffs, went to regionals that season. But that was super cool. Just like also being young and being able to do that. Whereas now, like, I can't do that. Like, play 2 games to pick up, and I'm hurting for like 3 days. So the infamous broken wrist on the shooting hand junior year of high school. What about you? Please don't tell me it's a golf injury.
No. There's 2 that come out. Like I played one, so I was in a volleyball tournament, and I dove head first, and I hit like a teammate's knee, like to my temple. Definitely had a concussion. I played out the rest of the tournament.
Awesome.
Not good. But the best one is actually as an adult. We were playing in a rec rec field hockey tournament down. It's called Cal Cup down in Southern California. My buddy's sister went to Iowa. A couple of my friends went to Cal. They were really good at field hockey, so we just played for fun. And I didn't know the rules, and so I guess like in hockey, the person with the stick is in charge of their stick. Like if you raise it too high, you get a penalty. In field hockey, if you're behind the dude that like winds up, it's your fault because you invaded their stick. Anyway, so I got smashed in the face, and I had a big old, not a big old gash, like probably like a 2-inch gash that was open and like bleeding. So I go to the emergency room down in Southern California. I get stitched up. Also told the nurse, and the nurse was probably like, this guy's dumb. I was like, I'm going to try and be on TV, so like, can we make sure the scar's not super big? So I told him that. She probably thought I was nuts, but now, look at me now. So then I go back, and the doctor's like, oh, you can't play anymore. And this is a rec field hockey tournament.
So you got busted open, had to go to the emergency room, and this is rec field hockey.
I went back and
you
played.
Tried to go back and play.
No, I didn't try.
I
went back and played. And I distinctly remember the next trip down the field, I like slid head first trying to like dive, highlight reel goal. I didn't score because I never scored. But like I tried really hard, and I remember the goalie's stick coming like right by my face, and I was like, yeah. Probably shouldn't have done that, but again, I was like 25.
Was that your retirement
23.
moment? Because I heard like if you play sports growing up and you try to play into your adult life, there's like the retirement moment where you're like, probably should retire. For me, it was last year. Fractured 2 bones in my foot and sprained my ankle playing pickup basketball. And I was like, I probably should give it up. No. I didn't, but
no. I mean, I don't think I've had that yet. Now I've just turned to golf and less impact sports.
Yeah,
and I don't know.
I don't think your boy DJ Solis is gonna, hit you on the backhand.
Dude, you never know. Have you seen any of those Instagram like meme videos where golfers get mad and they like fight each other?
No.
That would not be a fight I want to be involved with because people have like solid metal objects.
Yeah,
that would really hurt.
Not that heavy, so you could do like you could literally swing it as hard as
you could get like 100 miles per hour like swing on it.
Yeah,
that would not be good.
That's not good. We kind of went off the rails on that one because not only were there injuries, but recovery. And
you
it's
should
all
send
weird.
us respond with your best injury story.
And if you have video, you get like to be a guest on
we'll
the
just
show
retweet it
because it'll be a good time. Well, thank you for tuning in for the Monday Trifecta podcast. Good to have Alan Hoshida back again. Make sure to subscribe to stay notified as we try to expand to all their platforms. And again, next week, high school football camp is opening. We're going to get you everything that you need to know. We got some promos coming up. Yeah, some commercials, so keep an eye out for that. For Alan Hoshida, I'm Nick Miller. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next Monday.